Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we take a look at the astrological energies of March 25th until April 1st. Somehow we are in the final week of March, and it is a heavy hitter. We have a lot of significant energies happening now that are going to be building into April. So you want to stay aware of what is showing up for you as March closes out, because there is going to be some important areas of life for you to maintain your sense of self, hold yourself to a higher standard, and more fully integrate new levels of self-empowerment that are now present and part of our everyday frequency. Yes, we have been in a very strong rebirthing cycle as Aries season began officially on March 20th. There is strong renewal here, and it means that you might start to feel it internally first. You might start to understand what's been going on deeper in your soul's energy field, psyche, and unconscious. And now it comes to the forefront in Aries season and can even be quite surprising. That's because whatever was behind the scenes that you've been privately or personally working on or working through now becomes more evident and strengthened. And this particular Aries season has such a supercharged rebirth energy that you're meant to feel different. You could be sensing that something has been shifting for you that is now not only more evident, but more real. And I'm getting the visual of even feeling like you're wearing a new soul skin. And the skin feels very light and effervescent, certainly connected to the light body frequencies, and allowing you to hold more of your empowered truth, talents, emotions, energies, and sense of self that is part of this renewal cycle. And so over the course of this week, it will be advantageous to continually check in with your body and energy system to sense what you're feeling. Aries energy is pre-verbal, meaning it's your ability to exist, to be who you are, to show up as a sovereign, empowered being, and to live life with courage, independence, confidence, and an open curiosity to understanding more of who you are. And this could be a week where you move into new territory that is now aligning for you and with you, that shows up perhaps effortlessly and easily. This could certainly be both grand and obvious, as well as more small and discreet energies. But the sense here is this is a season of renewal and birthing. There are beginnings that are divinely timed for this particular week and into April. And because these energies are newly charged with higher frequencies, you might feel you don't fully understand it, meaning at the typical logical or linear level. Rather, this is energy speaking. This is something that could have its own magnetism or gravitational pull. This could be something in your aura or your sense of self that is highly charged and newly alive. And so these strong energies that are showing up and coming through means that you also have opportunities right now to trust where the energy takes you without knowing why, without understanding why, without having a guarantee or even a clear knowingness of what is this, where am I going, why am I choosing this, what's going on. There could be a sense of you're living with the guidance from your raw energy's brilliance. This is essentially being reborn while living, while in action. But you weren't born yesterday, so you have lived experiences, accumulated energies, and other levels of self that you access and understand. But this is a convergent zone of these energies feeling renewed and rebirthed, and now needing you to trust yourself at a very deep level that only you can verify. This is a self-verification process of knowing what is best for you, what is correct for you, what is calling to you. And as you trust that part of yourself and these messages, more of the path options, directions, and ideas that are aligned with this new frequency are also going to arrive and show up. This can feel very inspiring and motivating. This can be uplifting, as if what you've been working on or working through is now becoming more solid, and that there is greater alignment here, because cosmic timing is saying this is where what you've wanted, what you've been patiently directing your energy towards, begins to click. That's because Saturn in Aries is going to be sextiling Pluto in Aquarius at 5 degrees each, starting on March 27th into April. April 5th is how long they will travel together at 5 degrees. So that's when they are exact at their degree points. Their exact sextile occurs on March 28th. I just did a separate podcast episode for you on Monday discussing this energy even more, but it is one of the main themes of this week. We also have a very dynamic conjunction between Venus, Chiron, and Eris, all at 25 degrees of Aries. And I think I just heard some of you said, oh no, this is going to be empowered, healing, feminine energy that refuses to be silenced, that refuses to be ignored. This is supercharged with new levels of self, personal needs, and truth. The ultimate truth teller is here when Venus, Chiron, and Eris are all conjunct, healing very deep soul wounds, examining where there have been energies of rejection, abandonment, abuse, and trauma that are now ready to be healed at a deeper core level across multiple lifetimes. This is the energy of Venus understanding who you are in this lifetime, Chiron revealing the pain you've held or you've felt, and then Eris accessing the timelessness of the soul's journey and where her righteous anger is ultimately a catalyst for who she is and who she is becoming. So very impactful energies here that I will get into in today's show. So let's start with what is occurring on March 25th, as the sun in Aries is conjunct Saturn in Aries, and then sextiles Pluto in Aquarius. Now, this is important because the sun is activating that Saturn in Aries sextile Pluto in Aquarius energy. The sun brings in warmth, light, consciousness, as well as a focal point of what you're embodying in Aries season, that is this renewal that I mentioned. And so the sun here brings your attention first to Saturn. Saturn is where you are able to stand strong in who you are in Aries. It's the energy of personal responsibility and accountability, the standards you hold yourself to, how you show up truthfully as yourself, where you're able to implement boundaries from a place of personal respect. Saturn is also where we have to work and apply effort. And so as the sun is conjunct Saturn, you might see something in yourself that you're ready to improve. You're ready to do differently or in a new way. You're ready to say, yes, this is what I require now. This is who I am now. This is how I live my life. Saturn is connected to the physical world and what we have built and created in our lives that uniquely resembles who we are. And so as the sun makes a conjunction to Saturn, you also see who you no longer are and what you no longer need or want. You could realize where you have something in excess or where you have felt that you haven't been self-respecting or self-honoring. Saturn wants restriction and constraint. So what do you need to reduce in order to be more of who you are? What do you need to clean out and let go of? What no longer aligns with how you live your life? Saturn also brings our attention to commitments, responsibility, and maturity. And the sun conjunct Saturn is shining a light on how you show up as yourself to honor those agreements. There could also be a new sense of purpose that's being rebirthed with sun conjunct Saturn in Aries. Again, this is happening at 4 degrees, almost 5 degrees in your chart. And so there could be something that maybe you've been sitting with or contemplating, figuring out, trying to make a choice or understand it more in terms of, do I want this? Is this true for me? And can I take this on? Important choice points are being made over this next week, and that sun is giving you some truth. The sun in Aries is honest, courageous, clear, and direct. If you need a straight message, you ask an Aries and you will get a straight message. That sun conjunct Saturn is also bringing your attention to the long-term effects of what you're choosing and what you're doing. So there's important things to be aware of here around how you're using your energy and ensuring that it is truly grounded in who you are. And because that Saturn in Aries is sextiling Pluto in Aquarius at 5 degrees, the sun makes that sextile to Pluto as well and supports this renewal of becoming a new version of yourself, stepping into that next level or those new areas of self that you feel ready to powerfully claim and own. Now, the sextile to Pluto from the sun is going to show you what needs to be transformed and evolved, but there is an optimism here. There's a sense of, yes, I can do this. Yes, I want this. Yes, I'm ready to grow in this way. And the sextile to Pluto changes things permanently. So all of these changes, new starts, beginning points, and evolutionary choices that are arising here as March closes out are actually signaling to you where you have faced certain fears, where you have overcome perhaps intensity and depth. It's showing you where now you feel more empowered to be who you are. And this relates directly to one of the themes I mentioned about March relating to this being a month of butterfly medicine. Here in the final week is where the butterfly emerges from the chrysalis and is figuring out how to fly. Because as the butterfly comes out of the confines of the chrysalis, there is a new sense of being rebirthed, but with wings that have never been felt. And these wings are a little bit heavy and wet from that chrysalis straitjacket. And then the wings learn how to spread open, dry off, and know how to fly. The restructuring of the body has occurred and the self has been permanently changed. There can be a new sense of empowered self-love, self-confidence, and a willingness to try something new and fresh because of who you have transformed yourself into or the transformation that you are moving through. So note that this is going to be a week when more is showing up to support what you are powerfully claiming. And that would be one thing to stay aware of here is what are you claiming? What are you directing your energy towards? Because it deeply resonates with you and the new chapters you want in your life. What are you focusing on that ultimately leads to your manifestations? What are you understanding matters to you in your life? Because with this focus on Saturn and Aries, it reminds you that time is a precious commodity. You don't have all the time in the world. You can't delay, hesitate, or push off things with Saturn and Aries. Saturn and Aries brings your attention to the present moment, and there's a sense of, what am I creating now in my life? Because it matters to me. And I understand that nothing lasts forever in the physical world. Everything is meant to keep evolving and changing. But what do I want to invest in now that honors myself, my values, my energy field, and my dreams? These are big questions, yes, but this is also an important aspect to make the most of because it can set you on a new trajectory of honoring the time you have on the planet. And considering that we're now already at the end of March, we know that time is moving faster, accelerated changes are occurring, and that this is a time to take your life seriously. Take yourself seriously. That is Saturn. Saturn says, show up in your truth and allow others to meet you there. Allow others to match your frequency and see what develops. I feel that's also part of the sextile to Pluto. And as the sun, again, the sun is conjunct Saturn and then sextiling Pluto, it brings your consciousness to new levels of self-awareness that maybe have not been activated before in this lifetime. There is a new awakening here that is the next level. And it's not soft, it's more direct and abrupt. And it's the I want this. I'm going to do this. Now is the time. This is who I am. This is what matters to me. So there could also be a renewal of I'm living my life for myself. Because that is your power. That's where all your choices lie. Your choices lie in what you choose for yourself and what unfolds from living with a higher level of self-respect, personal dignity, and self-love. So this is a week, again, it's a big week here to stay aware of what you're choosing and how you're using your power, because that's where the universe is going to come through and perhaps bring about some breakthroughs, some powerful developments, some new understandings that change you. Sort of like if you have a dream and you're like, okay, this is the best case scenario for this dream. This is what I want. I love how this feels. I love what this could be. And then the universe comes in out of the blue through that sextile in Pluto and delivers an even more powerful version of that dream that up-levels it and expands it, as well as requires you to face something that is divinely timed on a soul level to face. So I think we're going to see many people making powerful life changes and life choices as we move into April. And if you're feeling that for yourself, which of course I certainly hope so, know that it's right on time and that it's probably going to look different than what you were specifically envisioning. This is a time of expansion. Now, Saturn is not about expansion. Saturn is about, as I said, refinement and constraint, locking in, locking down, making something manageable that you can work on or work through. But that sextile from Pluto in Aquarius takes it out into a bigger energy field, and that's the expansion. And that's where I'm seeing these multidimensional trajectories that come forth that I feel are related to other lifetimes, that reach beyond the time-space continuum and reveal more of what's possible because of what you have created or worked through in other lifetimes and other timelines. And so that's why I'm feeling that this is where the energy is now coming through in your present reality that actually has these chords or strings to other lifetimes and other soul experiences. So in other words, you could be starting something right now that your soul has dreamed about for lifetimes. You could be sensing that you're moving into something that you've done in other lifetimes, but this lifetime is the upgrade of the experience. This could also be pulling in soul experiences, not only from other lifetimes, but from other planetary lifetimes, other realms, other dimensional energy signatures that are coming through to support your evolution in knowing who you are at this time. Now, of course, we are everything. We are limitless. But Saturn in Aries means, well, you had to choose one person to be in this lifetime. You had to make a commitment to being a certain self-identity to develop and grow. And there is support now for that sense of self to become more empowered, more self-actualized, and also more multidimensional. And so while all of this is going on, we're also going to have a triple conjunction at 25 degrees of Aries on March 26th between Venus, Chiron, and Eris. Now, this is very impactful and powerful feminine energy that is not about being polite, pristine, or soft. This is a raw feminine force of life that is coming to the surface that can reveal itself in many ways. When we have a triple conjunction between a personal planet, which is Venus, with Chiron, the wounded healer. And with a TNO, trans-Neptunian object, that means any planet or asteroid beyond Neptune, which is Eris, we have a very powerful personal activation here that Venus is personally feeling the most, since she is the personal energy field here. So that means at 25 degrees of Aries in your chart, by house placement, is where Venus is going to be feeling more of her creation power, her courage, her sense of self, and it's going to come through in a dramatic emotional fashion that could represent what Eris has kept silent or held back. Eris relates to the parts of our soul experiences that has been through exclusion, silenced, or dismissed. It's where she has been courageous enough to have righteous anger, fire, and truth, regardless of what anyone else thinks, needs, or wants from her. She is an activation of a fully sovereign feminine energy that takes no prisoners, holds nothing back, and asks you to embody radical self-love no matter what the cost may be or the perceptions may be. Now, Chiron has been conjunct Eris off and on since last year, bringing up the wounding around your right to exist, who you are in this lifetime, anything that has played into wounds of honesty, courage, independence, truth, not feeling safe to be yourself, not trusting yourself or owning your personal authority. And then again, as Venus moves across this conjunction between Chiron and Eris, there is a whole new level of awakening that transpires here, where Venus will be permanently changed in her personal power, her right to exist, her sense of self, and to live a life that aligns with her without compromise and without apology. So at a more personal level, this is a very powerful ignition point, and it can ignite something that you've been holding or feeling. There can be a wild, raw, primal release. There can also be a lot of volatility here, depending on how the energy is felt. Now, I'm seeing this ignition point related to what you're ready to drastically and permanently change in yourself for yourself from a new place of self-love and self-acceptance. So one of the best ways to harness the triple conjunction between Venus, Chiron, and Eris is to be brutally honest with yourself around what you want, what you desire, what you love, what you need. This is a conversation between a triple goddess alignment. And these are energies that can take you into your shadow, can take you into your repressed self, what you have held back and been afraid to claim. This is where you are able to feel more courageously of what you want, what you need. Again, no apologies here. And the ultimate manifestation is that it connects you with more of your soul's truth and what you're permanently closing out and changing in this lifetime, because this is a powerful starting point, as it is for every planet in Aries, but this is a new starting point based on the soul's wounds. And so this is where you would want to look at patterns in your life. What has continued to play out? What are the themes here that continue to challenge or dismiss who you are, what you're about, who you came here to be? What are the patterns and challenges that have limited your full acceptance and full experience of self-love? What are the patterns and challenges that have ultimately shown you more of your power and truth? This energy can be messy, raw, and primal, but that is also the catalyst for this very deep primal shift that moves you into all new experiences of knowing yourself, believing in yourself, and loving yourself. New courage is coming forward, radical self-love, and a surge in personal ownership. I guess if I had to sum this up, it feels like Venus is drastically changing her core frequency as she merges with more of her shadow and her wounding to alchemize it into higher expressions and new areas of self-acceptance. So if you have planets or points around 25 degrees of Aries, you're going to be feeling this triple conjunction more personally. And it's also part of what is drastically changing in your consciousness and in your frequency that's ultimately sending you in a new direction. So this does reinforce the rebirth and renewal themes that I've been discussing in today's show. Now, on March 30th, Venus enters Taurus, and this is her home sign, her favorite sign, where she grounds into herself. She returns to what brings her comfort and stability. Venus enters Taurus on March 30th, and this is where the nervous system calms down, the energies settle. There is a desire to look at what is essential and practical, and to also be an observer of oneself and your needs. So we will talk more about this Venus in Taurus, but I feel that's part of the shift here that occurs over the course of this week, where Venus may unleash parts of her masculine expression or parts of her emotional body that she's been holding. Then she moves into her home sign of Taurus, returns to her feminine nature, allows herself to feel clear and strong, and there's a shift in understanding what she wants and what she desires. So overall, there's a lot going on here this week with Venus's journey. So this is going to bring up at a more practical level matters of creativity, love, finances, joy, friendships, women, all relationships with women or the feminine, including the feminine within yourself, as well as anything that you own, buy, or invest in. It's almost like there is going to be a powerful volcanic eruption that then leads us into calmer, grounded manifestations, because I'm feeling like there's something essential here with Venus being conjunct Chiron and Eris. And the Aries energy relates to the root chakra. So how I'm seeing this transpire, and this just came in right now, is that the strong Aries energy of right now into April is part of regenerating our toroidal fields, our full aura. It is a purging of what is no longer your truth, as well as a simultaneous seeding of higher consciousness that allows your energy system to grow and evolve. And so I'm seeing this exactly as the toroidal field being rebirthed. As soul wounds, old definitions of self, previous levels of consciousness, and old identities are activated for a very deep renewal. So keep in mind, this could show up at a physical level, since Aries rules the physical self and the body, as well as energy that moves through the body, pulsing through the bloodstreams. This even includes overactive heat in the body that can come up through anger, frustration, impatience. So this could be outbreaks, inflammation, rosacea, skin eruptions, feeling like there's too much heat in the body, whether that is something like a sunburn or just that the body feels warm. This could bring your attention to what needs to be brought into a healthier state, what needs to be balanced, calmed, and soothed, where there needs to be more that is tended to and nurtured. So the body, the physical energy is quite strong right now. You could feel this as the need to move, run, exercise, sweat it out, take action that allows you to be in charge of the energy pulsing through you, especially if anything has been stagnant or stuck. These are all themes that are going to carry on into April, and they're really going to peak at the Aries new moon on April 17th. So just to give you a bit of a timeline to work with here, by the time we arrive at that Aries new moon, there will be eight planets and points in Aries, signaling that a crucial soul renewal is taking place. And a lot of what we're moving through now is all part of this cycle. The Aries energy also moves fast. So as you address things or recognize them, you might find that you also have strong, clear solutions that show up out of the blue and help you understand what to do next. Now, we still have Mars and Mercury in Pisces. So there could be a part of yourself that you feel is dragging behind, that is the caboose here and is not fully engaged at this energized, direct Aries level. And that's because these two planets in Pisces are still finalizing previous chapters, old stories, and old cycles that are winding down. This can bring about an inconsistency where you feel a start-stop in your energy field, perhaps feeling highly focused, ready to go, and then the energy shifts and maybe there is more hesitation or uncertainty or a deeper questioning around what to do next. So the two planets in Pisces plus that North Node in Pisces is reminding us that we don't want to repeat previous cycles in the new endeavors that are showing up. And so you might find there's things you do need to take care of and change spiritually in order to be fully prepared for the new. You could also sense that you're being reminded of where you've been, what you've experienced, or what you've been through, and that as those energies are dissolving, which is one of the intentions of Pisces, there is an openness that perhaps you're really trusting. And I feel this as a positive opening where things are coming together in the unseen, which Pisces rules, and you could just be sensing that there is an anticipation or that there is a sense of nothing has been missed or forgotten. It's just going to show up in a different fashion or different way than it would have in a previous cycle. And quite honestly, you could feel like you're in between cycles still. I know we've been talking about that for a while, simply because we've had this ongoing focus between planets in Pisces and planets in Aries, where we've had to continually close out previous energies, experiences, and ways of being that have required ongoing self-awareness and consciousness. At the same time, there's this overlapping influence of the new coming through and arriving. And so it is quite normal right now to still feel like you're in between, but it's almost like the new is much more apparent. The new start, the next version, the next big thing, or whatever you're desiring to create could feel like it is presenting itself more strongly, almost like it is in Technicolor, and then the previous cycle of the Pisces energies are fading softly into some very lovely pastels and slowly winding their way out. So just to share that there is still an influence of endings and beginnings, but that hopefully you're sensing the beginnings are coming in stronger and brighter now. And they will continue to do so over the next week. Now, because I just did a separate podcast for you on the Saturn and Aries, sextile Pluto and Aquarius energies, that was the one released on Monday. I didn't want to spend too much time going into it in today's show, but do keep in mind that that energy is strong all this week. It is exact on March 28th at 5 degrees 9 minutes, and it is a strengthening evolutionary energy that is opening you up to make deep changes that are personal in nature, but also inspire you to move past any self-limiting areas of life and feel more empowered going forward, especially as it aligns with a new authentic life. So a lot going on here. Not only do I have that podcast for you on Monday, but I have a separate video for you on YouTube discussing these energies even more. I'll also have a video for you on YouTube shortly going through the Libra full moon chart. I just keep being brought back to this toroidal field just a moment. So let me just explain briefly what that is. A torus is like a donut or bagel shaped energy system that has electromagnetic field where the energy flows in a continuous self-sustaining loop. I'll try and have a picture of it here for you to visualize. And it's where the energy just continues to circulate and return to itself. And because it's part of the human aura, it's what we pick up on in each other's electromagnetic field. And not only do we have these toroidal energies, but planets are known to have them as well. And what I'm feeling here, I keep being drawn to both the root chakra and the heart chakra, each regenerating in these electromagnetic expressions and fields with the strength of Aries energy, especially this Venus making a conjunction to Chiron and Eris in Aries, and then the Saturn sextiling Pluto, restructuring and regeneration. It feels like this is an important part of our crystalline light bodies coming online, being replenished and renewed. I'm also seeing them simplified and lightened, a lightening up in the aura, both in terms of density, but also vibration and frequency. This could even be something happening as you sleep or rest, and you could give permission to do so if you would like any of your guides, angels, or trusted otherworldly allies to support you in regenerating your personal electromagnetic field. That's just a part of this energy right now. And maybe that's why it's so hard to describe and why I'm having a hard time grasping it more specifically, because it would be unique to you, very personal to your energy field. But I'm just feeling like it's pulling in these energies from other dimensions and other realms. And I think that's also why it's difficult to describe. So I'm basically seeing this as our human selves, our physical bodies are becoming more cosmic, holding higher frequencies, shifting and evolving at a core root chakra level. And then I'm also feeling it expanding the heart chakra and expanding what the Venus energy is birthing and manifesting. So of course, simply trust if it resonates for you and don't force it if it doesn't. If this isn't what you're sensing right now, then of course honor that. But this is basically where I'm seeing this regeneration stem from at this time. So I wanted to offer that in case that resonates and even helps you understand what you're feeling and sensing that doesn't quite make sense, but you're shifting and you can feel it at a very deep core level. And on another note, I wanted to say that I had an amazing time at the Sedona Ascension Retreat this past weekend, meeting and connecting with so many of you. I was going to do a roll call and give a shout out to all of you that I met, hugged, and connected with, but that would be way too many people. But thank you to those who stopped by and said hello at the retreat. Also great to connect with so many of you in the astrology workshop I offered. And I hope you had a great time being in that beautiful collective energy field, meeting new people, making new friends, and even just hearing all the inspiring words and messages from a number of speakers, healers, and experts. Suzanne Ross and her team have been doing these events for years. This was the 11th one, and it was so well executed and managed that it was a real joy to be a part of all of it. I was trying to think if there were any behind the scenes stories to tell you, like anything that happened in the green room. And honestly, everyone is just so friendly and genuine that there were just a lot of great conversations happening behind the scenes. On Sunday night, we did the final closing guest panel with Daryl Anka, Sarah Elcandy, and Pia and Colin, who channel the Pleiadians. And our guest panel discussion was hosted by the lovely Yannicka from Wisdom of North. And so before the panel began, we were all just sitting in the green room together, and there was such a feeling of harmony and cohesion that it was evident we weren't going to be disagreeing. We weren't going to be having these wild, contrasting opinions. Rather, we were going to be reinforcing that each of us coming from these different areas of messages and understanding that we were on the same page. So that was actually quite lovely to feel into and offer on the closing guest panel. And I have to say that it's really beautiful to see people in their mastery, to really be in their messages, their strength, their guidance of what they're here to do and offer. And I saw that across the board in everyone I connected with. And there was so much encouragement for others to follow their path and to trust their vision and move further into their own business or service endeavor. So that is certainly strengthened at this time on the planet. And I want to offer that to you in case you are in the midst of a career change or a new path that is calling to you. It is supported at this time. We need more messengers. We need more guides and more people in their mastery. And there is more than enough ways to be successful, to create a business that is true to you, to reach people who need the support, understanding, and messages that only you can give. There's more than enough room. That's part of abundance. That's part of understanding that billions of people are here on the planet at this time, and therefore there's more than enough for everyone to reach exactly who you need to reach or who's in alignment with your work and your messages. That's because we all rise together. We all do this together. We are all co-creating our collective experiences on the planet together, a beautiful mosaic of diversity, authenticity, and offerings. And we always want to be expanding in our capabilities and connections. I see this as a very expansive energy field that we're in right now as well. And I hope it is expanding you into the beautiful next steps and life developments that you're ready for. I will have another podcast for you on Friday discussing what is coming up here in Aries season. And so as always, thank you for joining me for today's show. I hope that these energies are encouraging you and motivating you forward. I hope you are feeling the energies as inspiring you into beautiful life changes. And I hope too that you start to see some of those awesome manifestations arrive over the next few weeks. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with a new podcast episode. Take good care and have a beautiful week ahead as we move through Aries season. See you soon.